Okay. Today we are here with Mike. He is a member of our coaching program. And over the last 6 months, we've been working together to improve his health. And first off, I just want to thank you for jumping on. But
Absolutely.
really, just want to talk a little bit about your transformation, your results with us, kind of your experience so far, just to hopefully shed a little bit of, knowledge or light into this coaching program. And, if you're good with that, just to start, if you could tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do for work, what your family situation is like, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, 47 years old, Alberta, Canada. I own my own business in farming and agriculture. So we have multiple locations that sell crop inputs and agricultural supplies. So it's a pretty busy lifestyle. So I got two kids, 11 and 12, heavily active in sports and stuff like that. So family life is busy as well, trying to keep everything going different, multiple directions. So, as you can probably imagine, life gets busy, and my health kind of probably took a back seat, just trying to make it work.
hmm
So, that's kind of where it all stemmed from, and where, I seen a post and decided to reach out to you guys.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most common things we hear. When life gets busy, health is usually the first thing that we put on the back burner. And then someone will come to us saying it's essentially time to change that. But I
Yes.
guess just going off of that, like you're super busy, health was declining for lack of a better word. But what made you decide to finally reach out for help?
Well, it was a kind of a bunch of different things. It was things like I happened to check my weight on a physical that I was doing for an annual thing, and I think I was at 330, and that kinda tweaked my brain a little bit. I didn't like the way I looked in the mirror, the way clothes fit. So that confidence level in stuff started to change the way I presented myself. Finding clothes that I could actually fit in and wear and present myself at a meeting. All those things created issues and problems and some confidence issues. And then it was things like even just go to a meeting and you're at someone's house, take your shoes off, struggle to tie them back up when you're
Yeah.
when you're leaving, things like that. And so those things kind of started to really creep in, and the body started hurting a little bit. All of those things kind of brought it to the forefront.
Yeah. Kind of like death by a thousand needles or whatever the saying is.
100%, and all at once, so very
Yeah.
overwhelming too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, change is one of those things that we don't notice a ton on a day-to-day basis, but then, 3, 5, 10 years down the road, you're like, what the hell happened?
Exactly.
But no, I appreciate you sharing that. And you mentioned like 330 was roughly the number you saw. I guess just in terms
Yes.
of like results over the last 6 months, like, can you share a little bit of the progress you've made there?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been mind blowing, the actual changes
Yeah.
to start at 330 and change, I guess, and averaging maybe a couple thousand steps a day if I was lucky.
hmm
Very sedentary in what I was doing. Did only what I really had to all of a sudden, today here we are almost 6 months in. I think it's 268. So we're down 60, 62 pounds,
Yeah.
multiple pant sizes, averaging 9, trying to get to 10,000 steps a day. And it's a lot easier than it ever was. I never thought that I'd be able to walk 10,000 steps and not hurt. So that is unbelievable. The change, it's been gradual, but it's been consistent. And that's been the funnest part of this whole process. There's days I questioned it. It didn't make sense. And I'm like, there is no change. And then all of a sudden we talked about it. The belt doesn't fit anymore and I had to change, or the pants no longer are tight and they're falling off. And it was gradual, but it was unbelievable.
Yeah. Again, like day by day, it seems really slow. But then if you tell somebody you lost 60 pounds over the last 6 months, like that happens in the blink of an eye. Like you go
Yes.
that amount of time not seeing people and like you've
Yes.
completely changed to that regard.
Absolutely.
I guess how was the like initial transition? And I'll be a little more specific. Maybe in the past, like if you tried to get in shape or improve your health, like what did you struggle with? Or like how was it different this time if you want to speak on that?
Yeah, the biggest thing was one, the support from yourself. Like I said, I first seen this, it was a post there on X from Kevin, and it kind of caught my interest about how he simplified the concept. So then we had that initial call and I listened to what it was going to be like. And I was skeptical because it didn't make sense that it could be that straightforward, that simple, and that, programmed. I thought, all these fad diets I tried where you'd jump on and you'd Google how to drop 50 pounds and it would tell you, and then you try it and realize you're eating nothing and you feel worse. And then 5 days later, you made no progress, so you give up.
Hmm.
After we met and chatted and you guys wrote kind of a program and a plan, I was absolutely floored at how straightforward it was to stick to a routine and a plan. And it really opened how uneducated I was on the health and fitness and food and that relationship.
Yeah, I say it a lot to most people we work with, but your health is truly a skill and it takes time to get good at health, like it would
Yes.
playing a piano or something like that. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't just happen overnight. But yeah, it's remarkably simple if you do the right things, right? Like
Yes.
you might have if you view your health as a puzzle, there's puzzle pieces and a lot of people have them. They just don't know how to put them together. And I
Absolutely.
think, that's where a plan comes into place. But you mentioned like skepticism and hesitations. Can you be a little more specific there? Like, what were your hesitations into jumping into this?
Well, in all honesty, I thought it was not going to be a sustainable concept, that it was
Hmm.
going to be, I'm going to invest in my health. And, in a couple months or a couple weeks or whatever, I'm going to give up on it because it's going to be too hard or the expectation is going to be too great to actually fit into my lifestyle. And I think that was where the light bulb went off and things changed was all these other diets and things I tried was I was trying to change my lifestyle to match that, keto diet or that Atkins something or some sort of a workout program. With your guys' program, it was what is your lifestyle? What do you do? What's your day look like? And then you guys helped me adapt a fitness plan into my routine of my day to day. So
Uh-huh.
my overall lifestyle didn't change in what I was doing in a given day. It just changed the way I looked at it and the things I incorporated, as basic as like you had said originally, park a little bit further away from the store. Those subtle little changes made significant progress in a very short period of time.
Yeah, 100%. Most people are trying to fit like a square peg in a round hole when it comes to
Yes.
improving their health. But
Yes.
at the end of the day, it's about making it work for your lifestyle and like
Yes.
finding something that is sustainable because as you know, it's better to be consistently good than occasionally great when it comes
That's
to
right.
your health, which is something we talk about a lot. So I guess maybe besides the like plan and the tailoring it to your lifestyle, what other aspects of this program were kind of the difference maker for you, if that makes sense?
The support has been amazing. Again, I think many of us try to get on this health journey on our own. You Google something and then you think, oh, I can do that. And you don't fully understand all the educational pieces or the way things piece together, how food interacts and what it does. And then you don't do it right. Or you try to do a lift and a workout and you're like, well, this is how it's supposed to lift. And your form is wrong.
Hmm.
And I think that was the many times I do it. I was like, well, this doesn't feel right. I'm not seeing results. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't taste good, whatever it might be. So you give up. This was
Hmm.
different because one, massive amount of support from yourself, but also that community, that Discord group community that shares their experience, their wins, their struggles, made it that I wasn't the only guy dealing with that.
Yeah.
And because of that, I could lean on someone else and I could compete with someone else, even though I didn't know them. I could be, oh, that guy's got 10,000 steps. I'm going to beat him today.
Yeah.
And then he'd beat me the next day. And it became a competitive thing, even in a virtual concept.
Yeah. No, I think the accountability and the community is huge there. Like I
Oh,
get motivated when I see people getting
yes.
their step
Yeah.
counts up. But yeah, no, that's great. And then kind of this might be me speculating a little bit, but in the past, I think it's very common for people to be all or nothing. And when it comes to their health, would you describe yourself in a similar fashion when it came to that?
Yeah, 100%. It was hard to not just be all or nothing, right? For
Yeah.
100%. And that was what was different too in this was making small changes and not trying to uplift everything. Just let's add this, let's tweak this, let's increase the water intake, those different things like that. And there's so much to learn. We're 6 months in, and there's still more and more to learn. I learn every day something new, some way that we can tweak something
Hmm.
and try. Whereas before, it's very overwhelming. And I think one of the things that's been huge is the knowledge of like yourself and that you can rely and trust on. Because I think if you Google how to do something, you'll get a
Yeah.
thousand answers, and I bet you 999 of them are a misleading influencer that doesn't have your health in their best interest. Let's
Hmm.
say it that way.
Yeah,
So
no, it's definitely tough. Like there is all the information out there, obviously. Like the
yeah,
tough part is trying to sift through it and figure out what's right and what's wrong.
yes,
But sometimes it's just like committing to a plan and saying like, I'm going to figure it out with this approach. And
yes,
as long as we start simple and slowly build upon it with time, like that's how we get you to, a routine where it's sustainable for you. And
yeah.
that's obviously what we want long term. Sweet. And then outside of the maybe physical results you've seen, have you noticed any improvements in your life outside of that? Like energy levels, things like
Oh,
that, confidence?
there's so many I couldn't probably list them all. I mean, from, stamina going for a walk, just confidence levels, the ability to spend more time with my kids when we're doing things like lacrosse or what have you. All of those things have had massive impacts on every aspect of my life. It's always nice to get a comment from a customer or a friend or a person like you said you haven't seen in forever, but it's just the overall feeling of sleeping better, the overall feeling your body has, the pain that you've always had for the last 10 years is no longer there. Those
Hmm.
things are things that most people probably don't quantify, but it is life altering when you don't have back pain anymore. That
Yeah.
don't realize how much that changes your life, but you can do so much more that you thought you would never do again.
Yeah. Yeah, I think how I describe it is most people just don't realize how bad they feel on a day-to-day
Yes.
basis. They just get used to it. And once you're consistent, like maybe just for a month or two, like you have this aha moment where it's like, holy crap, like
Yeah.
I feel so much better in all these areas of my life that you mentioned there.
Yes.
But to go off that, like I know the initial change is always a little daunting or can be scary because you
Yes.
feel like, you have to make significant changes to get the results you're looking for. If somebody were to be in your shoes before you signed up for this, how would you, maybe portray this program or like give them the confidence they need that this is something they can do regardless of how busy they are? Because you are one of the busiest people I know.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was going to be extremely overwhelming, and I was gonna be spending hours in the kitchen cooking and prepping and planning, and what I realized is once we simplified a plan and you made it, a goal and an agenda of what you were going to do, and you educated on the choices, it actually became very straightforward and very simple. Where I
Hmm.
thought it was going to be extremely complex to eat a specific style of food and, a protein intake. What I realized is once you guys gave us the tools to understand food better, you could make a better decision when you were buying that food. And what we are trained and taught on TV or when you go in the grocery store, and I seen it the other day, was, well, check out this high protein meal. And I looked at it and it was 500 calories and 180 grams of protein. And I was like, that doesn't make sense like that. Or 18 grams. It did.
Yeah.
The ratio was so far off from what you had taught us, but it's marketed as high protein. So
Hmm.
you grab it, you think you're doing a high protein meal only to find out you're not. You're
Yeah.
doing a high calorie meal. You're no longer in a calorie deficit at all. And you've never hit any goal of your expectation at all.
Hmm. Yeah. No, 100%. I think it might be high protein compared to what the average person is eating, but not to what a
Yes.
healthy person is eating. But yeah, making it simple and sustainable is the key. Like
Yes.
it's not worth over optimizing anything if it's hard to stick to. So
Yep.
first we just need to figure out how to make it work for your lifestyle. And then once we
Yes.
have that, then we have that luxury of deciding how much we do want to optimize. Awesome. And then maybe just to like finish it up here is as you transition into this program, what did you do on your end to make it as simple and sustainable as possible? Like how did you guarantee that when each day you woke up, you knew what you needed to do to get the results you were looking for?
Yeah. So, I mean, one, that accountability on that app of setting those goals and expectations of what my tasks are for the day. That really helped me accomplish the goals. The other one was basic prep work. And every Sunday I spend whatever time I need to prep the week of making a plan. And I love the fact that I removed some of the screen time of, the doomsday scrolling on Instagram and focused my energy on coming up with a plan where we can figure out a meal plan, prep the food, make it, store it in the fridge, and I'm good for the week. By doing that, that little slight change of not grabbing the burger at work and bringing a dish from home, one, it freed up a lot of my time. I was no longer winging it on the fly. And because of that, I was making smarter decisions. The other thing we did is we went through and we looked at the food that was in the house and we got rid of the temptation stuff that you just snack on when you're watching a show or you're enjoying some downtime with the kids or a movie. And we replaced it with stuff that was a healthier choice.
Hmm.
Still an enjoyable snack, but it wasn't, it didn't fit the goals and the plan that we had. So making that changes, it changed it. And the interesting part was we made it fun as a family, right?
Sweet.
Not just me, the kids are making smarter choices in just from seeing what I'm doing, they're getting involved. Not that we're forcing the issue at all, but they're making better choices when they make their choice.
Yeah,
So that
that's
is that
awesome.
is an outcome I never even thought would be a part of the program.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm smiling. Like that's so cool to hear that you're essentially just leading by example.
Yeah, yeah,
You get to set the tone that your health is a priority now, and it's reflecting through the rest of your family, which is super cool.
sense.
But I appreciate you sharing that. And then, sorry, I keep asking questions, but
No, ask away.
genuinely curious. Was it, so you dive into this program, was it more work than you anticipated, less work? Talk to me there, like workouts, whether anything you want to talk about.
Yeah, no, the initial work is, you definitely have to commit some time and do some things. I mean, fortunately, I had a bit of a history where I understood the concept of lifting weights, but I had to get back into it. And I had to relearn the way to lift things, proper form, proper stuff, push the boundaries because I had always learned you got to lift weights and you got to lift, 3 sets and you got to do 20 reps and you got to do that 5 times a week. So
Yeah.
the more you lift, the better. And this concept became the efficiency of how we're lifting and pushing ourselves to the boundaries, and maybe a heavier weight and less reps will create the same kind of results. That was foreign to me. So I did have to learn and I had to spend some time asking questions and having calls with yourself to understand it. But once it became part of that routine on basic, you think of all the exercises there's 1,000 of them if you Google how to work out something. And you guys gave us a very basic, or me, a very basic program. Here's your shoulders, here's arms, here's this, and specific muscle groups. And that's all, in 6 months we've really worked on.
Hmm.
And it's worked and it's been tremendous setting that foundation. So you took all that noise out of what you do when you Google it and try to figure out what you should work out,
Yeah.
which took away all that guessing work, which made it huge.
Yeah, for sure. I think I can speak a lot to that stuff where it's like everybody thinks more is better, but
Yeah.
really it's better is better, just
Yeah.
put simply. Like
Yes.
anywhere from 2 to 4 workouts per week done well when you do the rest of this program right is how you see results. But you don't want to be that person in the gym 5 to 6 days a week, but neglect everything else we focus on and never
Yes.
see the results you're looking for. I think that's pretty much it from me. I guess maybe the final thing I'd like you to touch on, if you're okay with it, is just like, I know that health can feel kind of out of your control, or maybe it used to. How do you feel moving forward? Like confident that you'll get to where you want to be and this is something sustainable long term?
It is. I think you remember I put together a little bit of a plan and a goal of what I expected of myself, try to hold myself accountable. And the first 3 goals on the list, blew out of the water way in advance.
Hmm.
So is it sustainable? Absolutely, because I'm not doing anything I wouldn't normally do on a day-to-day basis other than prioritizing a little bit more of my time towards planning and health and fitness. So I
Yeah.
spend a little bit more time walking, I spend more time lifting some weights, but I focus on the nutrition. And I did not realize how uneducated I was on nutrition and that relationship with food and just how important it is. I thought when you gave me my calorie intake that I was going to be starving and I wasn't going to make it through a day. And that's just not the case. There's some days where I'm like, oh boy, how am I going to get extra food in? I don't think
Yeah.
I'll eat more, and I'm not eating a huge amount of food by any means, but I'm not having any issues. My energy levels are higher. We've
Yeah.
talked about things in the medication standpoint. On different pills, when I started this program, I would be off 60% of 70% of what I was taking. Really, at
So
the end of the
cool.
day, I think I'm only taking a pill for acid reflux. But other than that, right, you no longer have high cholesterol, no longer potentially type 2 diabetic for the way those results are. So all of those little changes are phenomenal for what we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis as a family.
Yeah.
I know it's sustainable because the changes that have been made have been so much for the better, and I know there's so many more changes coming.
Yeah.
How much better can it get? It's
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
Yeah. A couple hours a week is a small price to pay for all the things you just mentioned.
Yeah, 100%.
But
100%.
I appreciate your time today, Mike.
Yes.
I know that there's a lot of value in this, and even sharing this with the community, I'm sure will help a lot of people. So thank you very much for that.
Yes, anytime.
Perfect.